There are moments when the heart grows quiet long before the world does. Moments when something inside you whispers that you cannot keep moving on your own strength. And that is where this prayer begins. Not in urgency, not in fear, but in this gentle turning of the soul back toward the Father who has never stopped watching over you. When you pause long enough to sense that stillness beneath the noise, you begin to notice the subtle places where your desires drift, where your thoughts wander, where your will leans toward what feels safe instead of what is holy. And right there, in that hidden place, the cry rises, "Father, align my heart with yours." It is not a demand, it is not a performance. It is the quiet confession of someone who has discovered that life becomes heavier when lived apart from divine direction. And so you breathe again, slowly, letting the weight you've carried loosen bit by bit as you remember that God does not wait for you at the finish line. He meets you here, in the middle of whatever is unresolved. You do not need to pretend you are strong. You do not need to act as though you have the clarity to navigate every unseen turn. The Father is not looking for perfection. He is looking for surrender, the kind that lets Him shape your steps instead of letting fear shape your reactions. When your mind runs ahead into places filled with uncertainty, He gently calls you back to where your feet really stand. When your emotions begin to rise like a restless tide, He speaks into the swell and reminds you that His will is not a maze you must decode, but a path He reveals as you walk with Him one honest moment at a time. So here, in this quiet inward turning, you let yourself acknowledge the truth. Your heart is often divided, pulled between what comforts you and what transforms you, between the familiar roads you prefer and the sacred route God desires. And the longer you live, the more you realize that alignment is not something that happens once. It is something that happens continually, like breath, like grace, like the steadying of a trembling hand placed into the hand of the one who is steady. If you look closely, you will notice that God has been drawing you toward this moment in ways you did not see. Through the unease you tried to ignore, through the longing you could not name, through the quiet dissatisfaction with doing everything your own way, through the fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, life could feel lighter if you stopped carrying expectations that were never yours to bear. And now, with the hush of the soul returning, you sense that what you called confusion was often an invitation, a holy disruption meant to turn your face back toward the one who knows the depths of you more clearly than you know yourself. There is a place in your spirit that softens when you stop striving to be your own guide, and that softness becomes the doorway through which God leads you back into His will. You begin to see differently when your heart aligns with Him. You stop measuring peace by how smooth the road is, and you start recognizing peace as His presence in the uneven places. You stop evaluating success by how quickly things work out, and you begin to value the quiet obedience that grows roots even when results are slow. Something shifts when the Father becomes your true north. The noise that once felt overwhelming loses its authority. The doubts that once clung to you lose their grip. The path that once felt intimidating begins to feel possible, not because you know where it leads, but because you trust the one who leads you. So let this be the moment you stop fighting for control. Let this be the moment your soul unclenches. Let this be the moment you return, not to a map, not to a plan, but to a person. The Father who sees you, the Father who understands you, the Father who aligns you not with duty, but with love, not with pressure, but with purpose. When His will becomes your resting place instead of your fear, you begin to live with a freedom that does not depend on the world treating you gently. God aligns your heart not to restrict you, but to release you. Release you from the weight of choosing alone. Release you from the burden of outcomes. Release you from the inner tension of trying to be everything except loved. And so you breathe again, slowly, honestly, fully. Father, align my heart with your will. Let this longing guide you as you move through the hours ahead. Whatever they hold, whatever they require, whatever they stir. Trust that the one who shapes galaxies can shape your motives. Trust that the one who calms storms can calm your thoughts. Trust that the one who created your heart can realign it gently, completely, beautifully. Father, draw my spirit into your truth and quiet the places within me that resist your leading. Align my heart with what is holy. Steady my steps and breathe your peace into my thoughts as I walk with you. Amen. If this prayer brought peace to your heart, whisper Amen in the comments. Share this moment to bless another soul, and stay with us at 10 Minute with God, where every quiet moment becomes a place to meet Him. There is a quiet turning that happens when a soul finally chooses to walk in alignment. A turning so gentle you almost miss it, yet so deep it reshapes the direction of your entire being. It feels like a settling, a slow unclenching, the moment when you realize that the Father has not been asking you to carry the weight of clarity. He has been asking you to rest in His. And as you stand in this stillness where striving loosens and surrender rises, you begin to understand that guidance is not a roadmap He hands you. It is a presence He surrounds you with. His will is not a demand pressed upon your shoulders. It is a refuge that holds you when the world feels unsteady. So you draw one more breath, softer than the last, and let your heart admit the truth. Every place you resisted Him has only made you tired, and every place you yielded has brought you peace. He has been faithful in the shadows, faithful in the questions, faithful even in the parts of your journey you tried to navigate alone. And now, as the weight shifts off your spirit, you can feel His nearness not as a lesson to memorize, but as a relationship that restores. You begin to notice that the more you offer Him, the lighter you become. When you let Him reshape your priorities, the noise that once filled your mind begins to fade. When you let Him cleanse your motives, the heaviness that once clouded your thoughts dissolves. When you let Him rearrange your desires, a new kind of freedom begins to root itself inside you. A freedom born not from getting what you want, but from wanting what He blesses. This is where alignment becomes devotion, where obedience becomes intimacy, where surrender becomes worship. The Father does not ask you to surrender because He needs control. He asks you to surrender because you need rest. He does not call you into His will to limit you. He calls you into His will to liberate you from every lesser thing that once convinced you it could carry your soul. And as you continue opening the deeper layers of your heart, you begin to see that alignment is a daily renewal, not a one-time moment. It is the choice to let His voice rise above your fears. It is the decision to trust what He is forming, even when the details remain unseen. It is the courage to place your future back into the hands that shaped you long before you knew how to ask for direction. In this slow and sacred process, His guidance becomes the echo your heart returns to, the whisper that steadies you, the truth that calls you forward when your own certainty wavers. You walk differently when you know you are held. You choose differently when your soul feels seen. You hope differently when you are convinced that His will is not a path you must fear, but a pathway into His peace. And perhaps this is where the greatest transformation takes place, not in changing your circumstances, but in changing the posture of your soul within them. When you yield to His truth, burdens lose their power. When you surrender to His wisdom, confusion loosens its grip. When you open yourself to His leading, the parts of you that once trembled begin to stand with a strength that could only come from grace. This is what alignment creates. Not a perfect life, but a peaceful one. Not an easy road, but a guided one. Not certainty about tomorrow, but confidence in the one who holds it. And in this confidence, your heart finds room to breathe, room to trust, room to let go of every version of life that was built on fear or self-reliance. So let this be the holy offering of your soul, the returning, the releasing, The quiet recognition that you do not belong to your anxieties, your regrets, or your unanswered questions. You belong to the Father whose will is wide enough to hold your entire life and gentle enough to shape your smallest thought. You belong to the one who does not rush your healing, who does not shame your weakness, who does not abandon you when the path grows unclear. His will is not a destination you must reach. It is the atmosphere of love in which your heart learns how to live again. And because He leads you, you do not walk alone. Because He aligns you, you do not walk astray. Because He carries you, even the hardest moments become holy ground. Take one more breath, slow, steady, honest. Let your heart turn toward Him with a tenderness that says, "Father, everything I am, I place in your hands." Let it be the beginning of a deeper trust and the continuation of a surrender that frees you from the weight of figuring life out by yourself. And as this offering rises from within you, believe with all that remains in you that the Father who hears you is already shaping the road ahead with wisdom beyond your understanding and mercy beyond your deserving. Father, receive what I offer you in this moment. Shape me with your truth, steady me with your presence, and lead me into a deeper trust that rests in your will. Amen. If this prayer touched your spirit, whisper Amen in the comments. Share this moment to bless someone who needs peace. And stay with us at 10 Minute with God, where every surrendered heart finds a home in Him. There comes a point in the inner journey when asking God to align your heart is no longer just a request. It becomes a way of seeing. It changes the way you interpret the quiet tensions inside you, the way you pay attention to your reactions, the way you discern the subtle shifts that reveal whether you are moving with God or drifting away from Him. When you begin to look inward through the lens of His truth, you notice how often motives hide behind confidence, how easily fear disguises itself as caution, how quickly pride can slip into the cracks of your decisions without announcing its arrival. Yet even as these things rise to the surface, the Father meets you not with condemnation, but with clarity. His light does not expose you to shame you, it exposes you to free you. So as your heart opens, even slightly, His guidance becomes less like a command and more like a gentle shaping, a soft redirection that leads you away from the noise of your impulses and toward the steady voice that has always known the way. When the Father aligns your heart, He does not begin with your behavior. He begins with your desires. He touches the deep places where decisions are born, where intentions gather, where your thoughts begin to form long before they become actions. And in that hidden place, He rewrites cravings that once led you in circles, heals patterns that once drained your strength, and reorders priorities that once caused your soul to scatter. It is here that transformation quietly takes root, not in a spectacle, not in a sudden burst of inspiration, but in the slow, sacred work of learning to want what He wants. You start realizing that alignment is not about forcing your will to match His. It is about discovering that His will was the path to your freedom all along. As His truth settles deeper, the way you process struggle begins to shift. You stop interpreting difficulty as a sign of distance. You stop assuming that challenges mean you took the wrong step. Instead, you begin to see that God often uses tension to strengthen discernment, uncertainty to create dependence, and waiting to refine your spiritual sight. In the very places where you once felt the most overwhelmed, you now sense the Father steadying you, anchoring your thoughts, lifting the weight you could not name. His will becomes less of a mystery and more of a presence, alive, near, patient, guiding with a tenderness that does not rush you, but also does not let you stay where fear once held you. You begin to sense that He is aligning you not only for your sake, but also for the sake of those who will encounter you. When your heart is centered in His will, your words carry a different weight. Your reactions soften, your patience deepens, your eyes see beyond the surface of people and circumstances. The Father shifts you from survival to spiritual awareness, teaching you that guidance is not just what He gives, it is what He forms inside you. It is the way He helps you discern when to move, when to pause, when to speak, and when to remain still. And in that stillness, you discover a truth that changes everything. God's will is not something you enter, it is someone you walk with. As His light continues to work within you, you begin to release the illusions that once controlled your decisions. The illusion that you must understand everything to obey. The illusion that you must feel strong to move forward. The illusion that surrender means losing yourself. What you find instead is that surrender is where the deepest parts of you finally exhale. It is where your heart discovers rest that effort could never produce. It is where you feel the Father removing burdens you never realized you carried. The pressure to prove, the fear of disappointing, the weight of navigating life by your own insight. His guidance settles into you like a quiet truth. You are held and you are led. And as you continue to open, you realize something even greater. Alignment is not just about direction, it is about union. It is about drawing so near to the Father that His peace begins to weave through your thoughts. His wisdom begins to anchor your choices, and His gentleness begins to shape the way you enter every moment. You are no longer navigating life through reaction. You are walking through it with revelation. His will becomes less of a destination and more of a rhythm, a holy rhythm that steadies your breathing and quiets the parts of you that once thrashed against uncertainty. So let this be the hour when you allow His truth to illuminate not only where you are going, but who you are becoming. Let His guidance seep into the corners of your heart that you have guarded for too long. Let Him loosen the tight grip of self-reliance and replace it with the freedom of being led. The Father is not shaping you to be impressive. He is shaping you to be aligned. Aligned with peace, aligned with purpose, aligned with the quiet certainty that you are never navigating any moment alone. Father, shine your truth into the unseen places within me. Shape my desires to reflect yours. Steady my thoughts with your wisdom, and guide my spirit into deeper trust. Align me from the inside out. Amen. If this message stirred something in you, whisper Amen below. Bless another heart by sharing it, and stay with us at 10 Minute with God, a quiet